Good evening, everyone. It's Roamin Rich. We're a little late, but better to be here a little late than not be here at all, I say. So, this is 66 Minutes with Roamin Rich. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you share this stream with all your friends. Get everybody in here watching the show. It's got a great show tonight. This is episode number 6. We're doing pretty well. We're on a streak now, 6 in a row. That's pretty good, especially for me because I'm all over the place. Just less than 24 hours ago, I was in South Dakota. I made it back home late last night with the latest version of the adventure truck, and I'll show you guys that a little later. But in case this is your first time, this show is intended to be 66 minutes in length, roughly, approximately, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. It's usually a little bit more. We talk about all sorts of cool stuff about Route 66. And if you don't know who I am, I'm Roamin Rich. I've been up and down Route 66 many, many times over the last 15, 20 years. The president of the Missouri Route 66 Association. I'm a researcher, promoter, and I just love Route 66. So that's why we're doing the show. It's a live show, as you're seeing right now. Hopefully, if you're watching this in the future, be sure to try to catch these live. They're a lot more fun. But we also have live chats. So that's a pretty cool part of this program, is that if you're watching this from Facebook or YouTube or even Twitch, you can catch us on a live chat. And sometimes we'll actually show your stuff on the screen. So if you have questions or comments or anything, you can start putting those into the groups or just write them down and save them for later when we actually have the live version of that chat. Every once in a while, we're going to do an on-scene shoot from different locations on Route 66. And we use a lot of QR codes. So you're going to see QR codes occasionally. Those will direct you to certain things that we're talking about, like if you'd like to donate to the program or if we're sending you a link to something else. So right there, right there. If you click on that right now, you can donate to the program, and we would certainly appreciate that. So anyway, it's a weekly show. We try to come on every Sunday at 7 p.m. We've been scheduling these. In case you didn't get a schedule, I'm going to put up a QR code that shows how you can sign up for our email list. Yeah. So this last week, I sent out an email blast telling people how to find the TV show, the webcast. And there it is. There's a QR code. If you click on that, if you scan that with your phone, that'll get you onto our email subscriber list, and you'll be able to know in advance when these shows are coming and who's going to be the guest. And speaking of guests, tonight we've got Dawn Welch and Beverly Thomas from the Rock Cafe in Stroud, Oklahoma. It's one of my favorite places on all Route 66. I love going there. And I'm just really excited to have him on tonight. Before we bring him in, though, we need to check out the T-shirt of the day. And this is the T-shirt I'm wearing right now. George is going to show you the back of the T-shirt. Hopefully this will you'll have a view of that. There you go. So that is the Roadkill Cafe in Seligman, Arizona. And courtesy of Debbie and Bruce Meha, they sent me this shirt a couple weeks ago. They wanted me to wear it on the show. Here it is. Those are great people. Debbie and Bruce, some of the most hospitable people you could ever meet on Route 66. And they run the Roadkill Cafe in Seligman, Arizona. They also have a motel there, a souvenir shop. They got lots of great stuff there in Seligman. And they are just wonderful, wonderful people. We stopped in there last year with the Small Town Big Deal crew, and they were very helpful. She hooked us up with all sorts of merchandise and a lot of great food and stuff. George, do you have a picture of that as well from Small Town Big Deal last year? I think we do. Well, while he's finding that shirt, let me just tell you, I love the T-shirts. They help to promote the business itself. It also gives me a little bit of a memory and keeps the money flowing in and promoting the business. It's just very helpful. So I'll feature a different shirt every single week. And if you'd like for me to wear a particular shirt, you can send me one. Just hit me up on Messenger or on email, wherever you can find me. And if you have my phone number, you can text me too. But anyway, send me those shirts. I would love to wear them and feature them on the show. So tonight we've got Dawn and Beverly. Before I bring them both in, though, I really want to show you a video that was provided us from Dawn. It was from Chickasaw TV, and it's only about a minute long, but I think it's just a great preface or prelude to what we're going to get into tonight about the show. So let's bring that video up. And
since 1939, the Rock Cafe has had the ability to gather souls from across the world and put them in one building and make everybody seem as if they know each other. It just doesn't matter from where you're from. You get inside that building and there's a magic that happens. On a Tuesday at 11 p.m., the Rock Cafe burned to the ground. I remember coming up and sitting, watching it burn for 4.5 hours. Because of my Chickasaw heritage, there was nothing in me that said to give up. This was just another challenge for me to conquer and to rebuild and bring it back to life as it was before it came down. Something from my Chickasaw background is to dream big and work hard. Don't ever give up. Sometimes your dreams get bigger than what you actually dream.
Okay, let's bring them on in, George. There's Dawn. There's Beverly. Ladies,
hi.
Thanks for joining me tonight.
You're welcome.
How is everything in Stroud, Oklahoma tonight? You guys staying warm down there? I know we've had a winter blast here the last 24 hours.
Today has not been fun, but yeah. The sun was out, so that counts.
Yeah, it's almost here. Spring's coming. So that video we just saw. Now I just watched that for the first time, literally just a couple hours ago, and I thought, wow, they did in less than a minute. They did such a great job in just giving us all a little glimpse of what it is that you've gone through there at the Rock Cafe. Dawn, tell us a little bit about your how you came about owning the Rock Cafe and just some of the things that you've gone through over the last 20 years with it. So actually, it's been longer than that. It's 30 years now, isn't it?
It is right at 30 years. We're working towards 31 right now. Yes. Came to the Rock Cafe in 1993. It was purely by accident, as told by cars later on. I'm sure we'll get to that. But in 1993, I was 24 years old, and I had just signed off Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines and went to see my mom in small town of Stroud, Oklahoma. Later to find out it was on Route 66. Looking for some restaurant equipment to ship to Costa Rica at 24 years old. I thought that was possible. And I was referred to the Rock Cafe, strolled into the Rock Cafe, met the man that owned it at the time, Ed Smalley. And within an hour, he had talked me into staying for 1 year and leasing it from him. And I had to do some research at Barnes & Noble, city statistics, big work on my brain, what I thought I was doing. But long story short is I ended up staying. I spent a month in January getting it fixed up. I opened in February 14th, Valentine's Day. Clearly fell in love. That relationship's been the longest one I've had. And except for Beverly, she's coming on it. So anyway, I stayed, found out I was on Route 66 sometime in March when the tourists started showing up. And our first really big pop of tourists in 1993 in March was 66 European vehicles that were either 1966 or older. And I expected to see a bunch of fancy, fast cars, but what I really saw were Unimogs and these giant old car, like vehicles where they could haul. They were stacking them full of Levi's and Nike shoes and all kinds of things they couldn't or wanted in Europe along the way. They would go to thrift stores.
It was a bigger world back then. You didn't have, didn't have all the resources at your fingertips back 30 years ago. We take that for granted sometimes.
Yeah. Well, they said that it was going to pay for their trip. They would go by thrift stores, pick up things like that. Anyway, I had a blast and started learning about Route 66 and its history, started tying that to the building and its history. And after a year, I just kept going.
Well, that's pretty cool. You mentioned, and a lot of people may or may not know this. Now, the movie Cars is getting up there in age too. I would say it's a cult classic. Once you watch that movie, if you really watch it the right way, you can't help but to watch it over and over again. It'll plant a seed in you for sure. But so you mentioned you were somewhat related to that movie. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yes. John Lasseter had decided to write a movie, the Pixar movie Cars. And while he was researching small towns that had been highly affected by highway systems running down the highway, they would, America built the highways to skip many, many small towns.
Mm-hmm.
And he decided to write a movie, cartoon movie, to bring light to that situation because he had discovered it. And he stopped at the Rock Cafe. He stopped many other places along the road, but the Rock Cafe was one of them. And he worked with us for about 4 years. He and all his crew would come in different times of the year for 4 years straight. That was Beverly came in the tail end of that. And when we were working together, I'd say, "Oh, you can't do that. You have to listen to me because I'm going to be a Disney star." But little did he know that was actually coming true. John Lasseter picked his favorite characters along the road and built several characters into the movie based on our personalities. And mine was Sally Carrera.
That's right. So let's show Sally there. There she is. So even though, it was really cool how John Lasseter and his team, they took all these personalities, and not just the personalities of the people that they met, but of the landscape, of the businesses, and they created this almost completely new, but not quite, but very familiar landscape and storyboard, and like the cozy cones. Of course, you had nothing to do with the cozy cones, but they took your personality, right?
Yes. They combined a lot of building structures together in
Mm-hmm.
all of Radiator Springs, all along the road from Chicago to LA. If you look closely, all the buildings are kind of all meshed together.
Yeah.
So yeah, mine is all about the personality of Sally Carrera. So anything that happens to her in the movie was either some correspondence I had with somebody that was stopping by, or they just picked up on my personality. So, I mean, right down to the first night that I met John Lasseter, my sign was broken. So when he asked me to turn it on, I went by my light switch and I was telling him that, I would flash it off and on. And so I said, go set up your cameras underneath the sign, and I'll flash it off and on, and maybe you guys can get a picture of it. And the next thing that I said was, but we're going to be newly refurbished. The next time you come, we'll have the sign redone. And I was telling him all about that because we were going through the first National Park Service grant. So the National Park Service, is also in that movie because it's referenced every time she says she's newly refurbished, or she has a little gadget that she shows Lightning McQueen when he backs into the hotel room, and she's all excited about it. So every time John Lasseter or somebody from the movie would come in, I would show them my prize new possessions from that grant.
Well, they captured you perfectly. I never knew that story. That's pretty amazing, because you're referencing the part where she's in there, struggling. Oh, I can't get it. I can't get it. And,
Yeah.
And it seems like really the whole time that she's there, she's struggling to, get everyone behind the efforts of Route 66. And eventually that turns around for the better. So that's pretty cool. That's a very proud reference to have there. That's for sure. So Bev, when did you come in during the Cars part? When John Lasseter and his team was coming back and forth. When was the first time you got to meet John?
I met him at Carsland, actually. So I came aboard about 2001,
Okay.
and his people would come back and forth and take pictures or photos and talk to Don some more, this or that. But it wasn't ever like I never met him physically until then. When we got to go out for Cars Land in 2000.
When they opened it up. So
Mm-hmm.
let me rewind a little bit. I jumped ahead. Bev, how did you guys meet? When did you come aboard?
Well, I was just working for a school, and my mom was working for Dawn, and they needed help for a weekend. And I've never worked in a restaurant before in my life. So I decided to go over there and give them a help for a weekend, and I did that and swore I'd never go back.
Oh,
I thought they
wow.
were crazy. Legit.
Where are you from, Bev?
Me, I grew up in California, but I'm originally from this area.
Okay. Okay. So you were from Stroud at some point?
Yeah, at some point. My mom moved around a lot. But we lived in California most of my life, and then we came back here in 1999. So I came over there about 2001 and did part-time over there with Dawn for a little bit, and then became full-time, and now, just running everything, kind of.
So you're there for over 20 years yourself.
Absolutely, yeah. Yep.
So you guys also had, you've had a whole bunch of famous people and stuff, but a lot of shows. And one of the shows I know probably helped you guys a little bit was I always call it Triple D, but Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. Can you guys tell me a little bit about that experience?
Oh, goodness. 58 hours.
There's Guy Fieri with Dawn and her family right there. That was, what year was that?
That was 2007.
Wow.
We're still waiting on him to come back around and film the second version of that once after we burned down. 2007, we filmed that. And then in 2008, we burned down in May, right as that show was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
That's rough.
Yeah,
It
was rough because people would still pull up to the cafe after it had, it was just nothing but four walls completely burned. Everything was burned up and we were cleaning it out. People would pull up and say, well, can you make us the Jaeger that you made on Diners? I was like, oh my goodness, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me just get my barbecue grill out here.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
The cool thing about that show is that people still see it on reruns, and they'll come in and we'll tell them it's from 2007 and they can't believe it. Like, it's still really relevant, But we would love a redo on that. I think he should come back and see us again.
Well, we should all send him a bunch of emails. All the viewers out there could get together and send Guy Fieri and his producers a bunch of emails saying, hey, we demand an update on the Rock Cafe. We're getting ready to hit 100 years on Route 66. That'd be cool.
So we can tell you a little bit about that day. So 2007, that was their first HD cameras. They had gotten all their HD cameras. So our segment, and there are 3 people on that show, our segment alone took 4 days to film. Wow. 3 of those days filming, Guy Fieri was not there. They did all-day shoots with us, just filming us stirring pots, cooking food, things like that. And we had to save all our utensils and everything for the next day, so nothing changed. We had to wear the same clothes the next day, so nothing changed. And they were right down to the decoration on the spoon. They wanted it to be, they're like, I don't think that was the spoon from yesterday. Are you sure that was the spoon from yesterday? We're like, yes, that was the spoon from yesterday. But the funny thing too about filming was they would have us remake this food over and over and over. And you see Beverly shaking her head right there. We were, we're not making millions of dollars doing what we do. We do it because we love it. Right. So we're just counting up the dollars that we're spending and also watching all this food just go in the trash. So we finally started calling people from town to say, come up and just sit around and watch the action and eat the free food. So that's what we ended up doing. But we kept thinking in our brains, this is not going to be worth it. This is just not going to be worth it. And they kept telling us, it's going to be worth it. Don't you worry. It's going to be worth it. And that was true. I mean, Guy Fieri brings in as many people as the Cars show did. And
I believe it.
Still to this day. So we are forever thankful for that. And apologies for thinking it wasn't going to be worth it, because it definitely was.
Hey, that's awesome. That's great. All that promotion and stuff that helps all these little small towns, and yeah, people follow that. I think it's great.
And side note, you don't see Beverly in the in it at all. But that was the other funny thing is she was doing all the cooking pretty much. I was
Really?
Yeah, I was pretty much on the. She'd be stirring and getting things ready on the side, and then handing it to me, and I'd be there doing it. And then when they would get a camera shot of me putting something on the grill, she'd be the one to finish cooking it. Wow, it was really sad.
I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter.
That's TV for you, isn't it?
Yeah,
It is TV for you.
I understand that very well, that there's a whole lot of work that goes into making a television show, and what you see on the final cut is just a glimpse of what really happened. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your favorite dish, Bev or Dawn.
Bev, I'll let you take this.
My
We've got
favorite.
lots of stories about the dishes.
Oh gosh. My favorite is probably would have to be, I don't know. Probably one of the number one sellers is the chicken fried Jaeger schnitzel, but probably one of my favorites is the Indian taco. Probably because it's my mom's recipe. So I like that one a lot.
Well, I think we might have some footage of that. Maybe we could cue that up and get that going, because I've had Indian tacos, but I've never tried them at the Rock Cafe. I do have a favorite that we'll get into here in a little bit, but if we can get the video up of the Indian tacos, maybe we can show that.
Hey, this is Beverly at the Rock Cafe. We're going to make Indian tacos today. Take 4 ounces of meat, put it on the grill, press it out nice and thin, and go wash your hands. Touch meat, touch
That's a
water.
critical element.
All right, we're going to chop the meat up and get it nice and done. Take your fry bread, put it on the grill, get it nice and warm.
Betsy the grill.
Lots of chopping, lots of chopping. Chop, chop, chop.
Beverly blasts old time country.
Take your fry bread, put it on your plate, grab a nice handful of the shredded lettuce right on top of the bread. Just like that. All right, now we're going to grab a ladle of beans, put on the meat, spread it around, marry it all together.
I got to tell you, I'm getting hungry.
That's
I
gonna go
haven't eaten
right
much
on
today,
top
and
of
this
your
is not
Indian
helping.
tacos. Make it nice and hot, nice and sizzly, right on top.
That looks
Next,
good.
you add your tomatoes,
Mom comes in every couple of
and your
Thursdays.
cheese,
for
and your
lunch.
onion, unless they don't want it. Make sure you look at your ticket. Voila, that is the Indian taco by the Rock Cafe.
Love it. I
So
love that she said, look at the ticket, like everyone in their home kitchens are making
Girl.
per ticket.
They
you
do it
mentioned
my
your
house.
mom coming in, Bev. Is she happy with how you make it?
She is. She came back about, I don't know what, Dawn, a couple years ago. And she was helping us out one afternoon, and she's finishing up a pot of beans for us, and she sinks in a pound of butter in this pot of beans. And we're like, what are you doing? Well, that's what I do to mine. I'm like, that's why yours are like better than ours. Why didn't you tell us that a long time ago? Well, I'm not going to give you all my secrets.
All the
You
butter. That makes it better.
Yeah.
It did. It did. But
So
yeah,
I've got
she
a
really-
favorite too. And it's not something that's on the menu, but you guys usually take care of me when I come through. It's just something I had the hankering for one of the times I stopped in, which was, do you remember what it is by chance?
I do. I know what it is. French
Oh, do
toast
you?
with blueberries.
What is it?
French toast with blueberries.
That's it. I can't believe you remember. Yeah, there's a picture I shot.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the best French toast I've ever had, and hopefully my wife isn't watching this and she'll beat me over the head when I come back up to the house. But it's the best blueberries. It's just that better. I love it.
Yeah, they're good.
So
That's amazing.
yeah, I'm getting hungry. Well, we should probably take just a little bit of a break. We don't have any sponsors, but let's see here. George, let's talk about the Veneta sign relighting that we got coming up next week. Next week, probably not going to have a show on Sunday. There's a relighting that's happening in Veneta, Oklahoma on Saturday evening. So in lieu of a Sunday show, I'm going to be live on location in Veneta, Oklahoma, to show you guys that neon sign relighting. And I'm super excited to go there. I've never been to the place, never stopped in. So it just goes to show you that there's always something new to experience on Route 66. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure that you tune in on Saturday. So then it'll be next week, Saturday, the 25th. The timing will be approximate. You just kind of have to stay tuned to YouTube and Facebook and all those different platforms that we're streaming to. Because I may come on at like 7. I may come on at 6:45. I just don't know until I get down there and start getting my camera gear stuff all set up. This will be the first time I do this remotely. So I hope to see you guys there. Anyway, no sponsors yet, but we are putting together a list that where people can support us on a monthly basis for sponsors and supporters. We're hoping to make that available here pretty soon on our websites, hookedonroute66.com. That's an old website right now. We're hoping to have a new website going here real shortly. So, all right. So before I get back with Bev and Dawn, let's see here. We're gonna talk about some of our Facebook group stuff. So we have a Facebook group called 66 Minutes dedicated to this webcast, and we've been encouraging a lot of people to get on there and do stuff. Send us your photos, your comments, suggestions. We haven't had any viewer videos yet. We did have one a couple weeks ago. We'd like to see some viewer videos. That'd be fun. But we do have some pictures. So we're going to start a new segment this week called Roamin Rich's Pick of the Day. And let's see here. I've got actually 3, but the pick of the day here, what I really liked was Mark Wilson's picture of the Rainbow Bridge there in Kansas. It's one of my favorite bridges. I think he got a real nice angle of it. I just really like it. I'm not super big into like the HDR photography and stuff like that. Sometimes it's really cool. This is a nice, simple photograph, and I really liked it a lot. The next one is from Keith Stone. We'll bring that one up. And that's it's not a Route 66 photo, but it embodies Route 66 in the spirit of small town travel and all that stuff. We can get that one up. There we go. Now, those are the wigwams, or some of you maybe call those the cozy cones, but those are wigwams. But those are the ones in Cave City, Kentucky, which is a whole other, probably another episode that we should talk about at some point. That's Cave City, Kentucky. Great photo. I love the composition there. Love the contrast of the light and the clouds and everything. Fantastic photo. Last but not least, this one comes to us from a viewer named Tony Berglund. She was at the Rock Cafe, I don't know, was it like 20 years ago or something like that? She posted a photo. Let's bring that one up next, and it'll be a surprise. What do you think there, Dawn?
I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
That's Dawn.
Oh my
word.
It's like Fish Day or
Yeah, maybe Tony can comment on that a little bit if she's watching, but she says in Facebook that she wanted to get a picture of you, but she wasn't allowed back in the kitchen, so she handed off her camera to one of the staff there, and they went back there and got a picture of you.
I can't.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's really hard. People want to take pictures sometimes whenever I'm like truly a cook or truly waitressing for that day, and it's really busy. And that's funny. I like that picture in honor of that moment.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, it looks like. So tell me a little bit more about that fire situation. So I don't really have any footage other than what was shown in the video that we let off with, but do you know what started the fire or what survived the fire or anything?
Yes, oh, you didn't, man, I should have sent some pictures of that. So in 2008 in May, right, the last day of my kids' school year, Beverly kids' school year, we get a phone call, 11 p.m. at night. The Rock Cafe's on fire. We run up there. All the employees were up there. Many of them are online with us right now. And it burned for 4.5 hours. They had it out. They had put the fire out, but then we had a flat top roof with tar. It had so many layers of tar that once the building got compromised from the fire, the tar was so heavy it just fell in. That smoldered the fire out. But then, as right before the firefighters were about to enter the building, it just blew up. Like, that tar caught fire, and it was just, you were not going to stop that. It was 7 layers thick.
Yeah.
That's like a tire fire. Once that gets going, it's over with. It just keeps burning. Yeah.
So I just stood in, my daughter took one of the best pictures that we have of that fire, and it's just me as a shadow in the gazebo looking at the building just burning down. And it was really sad. I just kept saying, if the 4 walls and the grill stay intact, we can rebuild from there. Miraculously, that's exactly what happened. The 4 walls stayed up, and Beverly's husband and her son Matt Thomas and the other boys, I'm not sure how many boys were. All the boys there, Beth?
Just Martin and Matt.
Martin and Matt. They, once we dug a lot of the rubble out, they salvaged that grill. You won't believe it. It was really funny how the grill survived. And that's Betsy, the grill that Beverly was cooking that Indian taco on.
Yep.
There was a stand-up freezer on one side, and on the other side of the vent hood, there was a crickety old microwave stand that everybody told us to get rid of. They said microwaves were going to crush us one day because the shelf was going to somehow. That hood fell, and it leaned on those 2 pieces and leaned forward on a table. Yeah, that's a picture of it right there. And it protected that fire. It was protected from the fire underneath the mop and tar roof, just smoldering like that. And so it wasn't dented or anything. And I stuck my hand through a window where we passed through for food and stuck my hand down to see if the grill was still flat the next morning once it cooled off. And believe it or not, it was there. Beverly and her son and Matt and her husband dug it out. And that's what we still cook on today.
How old is Betsy, imagine?
1939. The building opened in 1939, and that's the original grill.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Cooking with history, literally.
Yeah, literally. We don't know what we'll ever do if we lose her, because she's the essence of the flavor of the food at the cafe. We can give you our recipes all day long, but you're not going to get exactly that. I mean, it was one of the first Wolf grills ever made. That was determined because we had a historical person rebuild that grill, not rebuild it, but refurbish it. They had to really scrub the top of it. I can't remember what he did to it. It was just a miracle. I didn't think he'd be able to do it, but he ran down the history of it, and it was, in fact, one of the first original Wolf grills. That's
pretty amazing. That's something to be really proud of. The Rock building survives because it's a Rock building. The grill survives from the original Rock Cafe, and it still works today. I don't think anybody on at least Route 66 can lay claim to something like that. Even in the United States, I think somebody would be pretty hard pressed to lay claim to having their original grill.
Yeah, a lady showed up.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
A lady showed up from New York one day wanting to buy that grill, and she said, just name your offer, and we wouldn't do it.
Mm-mm.
Bev, what were you going to say?
I said, I think it was made from a time when you made something once and it worked from now on. It was American made product made from the 30s. So you didn't go out and buy another one. You bought one and done,
Yeah, I agree. It's,
do that anymore.
the quality back then, because things were expensive. I came across some little time capsule things in the attic of the Shamrock when I was over there renovating it last. And one of the things I found was an ad for a television set. And when I looked at it, it was a nice television set. And this was a 1947, 48. It was $330.
Oh my goodness.
And I thought to myself, $330, what would that cost today? And it was the adjusted market for today ended up being like $4,000, $4,500
Oh,
today
wow.
for a
Yeah.
TV set.
Oh my
And
God.
I mean, it's just
I love it.
amazing.
We have a biscuit pan that we swear by at the cafe, and it's also from, it was made right after the war. And so the steel that they use, were from leftover, what they, would make munitions with. So, I mean, that biscuit pan is just amazing. I can't remember how I found it across the way, but somewhere in my travels, someone else had one, and I got on eBay and found myself one. And it's got the same similar story.
So tell me a little bit about, because we talk about all the visitors and stuff, and you guys have been there for 30 years. Who are some of the most notable celebrities or famous people that have been to the Rock Cafe?
We've mentioned, John Laster and Guy Fieri. We've had Gina Davis, Bryant Gumbel. I mean, we've had a lot of different people come through. Beverly and I aren't the best people to talk about stars with, because we just treat them like they're regular people. But we also had Robert Plant in, and
oh gosh, there's that hair.
Robert Plant was really fun story, because he ended up staying hours on end. I mentioned earlier during Beverly's Indian taco making that she blasts old style country music all the time. And she was cooking away in the kitchen, and everybody is telling us that we're cooking for these movie star or these, superstars, and that we need to be making, he wanted pancakes during a very busy lunch, which is hard to do. And I mean, Beverly, she's a rock and roller when she gets in the kitchen and in a mode. So, she's just scoffing people away, telling them to leave her alone and whatnot. Anyway, we get him served food, and he simmers down once he gets he did get his pancakes that tasted like burger, but he apparently loved it. So he decides he loved it so much, he wanted to come back to the kitchen and say how much he loved it. So Beverly's back there crooning old school. Do you remember what song you were listening to, Bev?
Oh goodness. Ooh, I almost think it was me and Bobby McGee, but that was like,
yeah, it's pretty obvious,
from the old country station.
So anyway, Robert Plant had also loved that song, and turns out when he first started, wanted to be the first European country movie star or country singer.
Wow.
And so he shared that with Beverly in the kitchen, and they sat back there crooning old music together like they were best friends. And then Robert Plant decided he loved it so much, he went next door, and we have a gift shop next door, and I had my son selling a garage sale stuff. So he bought a few of my son's garage sale items from our home. And then he sat on a rocker on the front porch with my son, eating popsicles, and fell asleep. His band just kind of had to roam around town while Robert Plant just enjoyed his sleep. Oh, there was always motorcycles on the weekends, and somebody had Highway to Heaven painted on their motorcycle. Stairway to Heaven on the side of their motorcycle. And so he went out and talked to the guy all about why he loved Led Zeppelin and why he put it on the side of his motorcycle and all those things. And he never knew he was talking to Robert Plant. I knew the guy. So when he came back a few weeks later, I told him that was Robert Plant, and he about died. He thought he was going to die.
He had no idea.
He had no idea he was talking to.
I didn't know who he was either, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have recognized him at this age. I probably would have recognized him in his, in his youth.
Yeah.
I went home and Robert
we do
Plant.
have one more superstar we wanted to talk about. It's a bit of a pump.
Please do. Who else we got?
Oh gosh.
Bev, you want to tell them?
We get a phone call Tuesday of last week, and week before last, and said that we had somebody coming through, but they did not want to make a big deal about it. We couldn't tell anybody about it. It had to be very hush hush. And I'm like, fine, this is the most hush hush place you'll come to. We're not going to make a big deal about anybody. And she said, well, it's, doesn't want to be bothered. He's just going to come through here. And Don, what was his name? Can't even
Will Ferrell.
There you go.
Will
That-
Ferrell.
Will Ferrell, huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's going to be through here Friday between the hours of 1 and 2 p.m. We're like, okay, fine. So Friday comes and goes. No sign, no call, no show, no nothing. Ghosted us. Just ghosted
Just
us.
ghosted us. We even got a hold of his production company to say, hey, we've got the crew here. It's going to keep it top secret. Are you coming? Are you not coming? And they still ghosted us. We've been ghosted.
Like, we're going to go
Good
home
job.
because we're old and tired and leave it turned over to teenagers, but we didn't want to do that. You know. So we knew-
Ooh, Will Ferrell.
You guys have made me not like Will Ferrell anymore.
Well, I'm sure there was a legitimate reason. He did show up on Route 66, and we'll all see an upcoming project with him in it. But, you know, we just had to throw it out there. We've been
Well, as long as whatever project he's in is actually good, like I guess we could be happy with it, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. As long as
All
you're-
right, so I popped on for a reason. I've been sitting on this for a while,
Okay.
and I believe you the name Alexis should ring a bell.
Oh, yes.
So Alexis said that there was a very specific thing that we should talk about for a second. Something
God.
about, let's see, the pinstripe on Sally has something to do with you.
Oh, the pinstriping tattoo.
Well, hold on.
Apparently,
Let
it's
me
a
just
long
get it
story,
out.
but I feel like it's not that long of a story that everybody
Hold on.
would
Let
love
me
to
get
hear
it
right
out.
now.
Let her show you her tattoo.
Whoa!
Just
Hold on.
joking.
No, we're not opposed. It's just
You didn't
we probably
see it.
should move this to the 11 o'clock.
So that is one of the stories that I told Pixar about. When I was 24 through my 30s, I would dress up. I would, depending on what the event was. If it was a 50s, if it was old cars, I had a poodle skirt. And if it was, whatever the theme was, I was a clown. I made balloons. I did for birthday parties. I did all kinds of things. One of the things I did was dress up as a biker whenever the big bikers groups would come through. And Harley Davidson always brought big, like 4,000 motorcycles through every few years for a show they would do. And so I was a biker chick, had biker boots and shorts, and took one of these Rock Cafe shirts and beaded them all up, to where my stomach, was real high cut up. And I went to Spencer's and bought a whole package. I had like 60 of these Black Widow spider tattoos. So every year they came through, I had the same Black Widow's tattoo, and it was on my stomach. And so I called myself the Black Widow, and I was really mean to all the customers like the Black Widow waitress would be. And so one year, few years after this Harley group had been through, my mom was watching the cafe while I was out of town, and this biker comes throwing the door open. He's like, I'm here for the Black Widow waitress. I've been dreaming about her, and I just know she's living a miserable life, and I need to come save her. I'm going to marry her and take her off to Oregon. My mom said she just started cracking up laughing. She's like, that's my daughter. She's not miserable. She's not the Black Widow waitress. That was all a facade that she had. And so she had a glass of tea and slunked back to Oregon. That story was put in Sally. So at the premiere of the movie, when I was watching the movie, I mean, there's every little single thing that happens. There's nothing in that movie that happens to Sally. I couldn't tell you why it's in that movie, down to the color of the car. And so I remember when the tattoo thing came up on TV, and I thought, oh my gosh, or on the screen, I was crying because it's pretty emotional, as you guys have seen. I'm crying clear up to that moment. And then I'm like, oh my, they even used that story. I could not believe it. And, I have lots of friends with lots of tattoos. I don't have one. That was just a joke. But, pinstriping's not permanent. Neither was my tattoo. You can change your pinstriping.
That's cute. That's a cute story. I love it.
That's totally worth it. Thanks, Alexis. We appreciate it. I guess speaking of
Shout
that,
out. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to shout out Kappa Sigma too. They're supposed to have a lot of guys on here.
Oh, hey Kappa. I think here we go. Bev's back.
I don't know what happened. It just
keep popping in and out. I got you, Bev.
I don't know.
So, George, being that you've been in tune with some of the audience viewers out there, you want to maybe pop up the chat and see what we got going on?
Chat's popped up. As we know, as you guys type in, any new chat is going to come up there over in the corner. In the meantime, I can I have the power to scroll back if my computer will let me. Come on now. There we go. Penny loved your story.
Penny Black.
Yep.
Penny's a diehard roadie.
Here's a good
I know,
one.
he's great.
How
We
many
miss
of the original Rock Cafe menu items are still on the menu?
That's a great question.
Well, that is a really good question. Everything is still, I mean, it depends on what era you were in the Rock Cafe. So I opened the Rock Cafe with a smoker. So for a long time, we cooked barbecue because that's the Rock Cafe has ever been owned by 3 people. The second person to own it was Ed Smalley, and he was a barbecue chef. So he had bought this huge barbecuer. I did that for the first 5 years the Rock Cafe was there. Then I learned how much work it was, 5 years of it. And so history that I had looked up at the Rock Cafe, I knew it was diner food. And I knew, so I went back to that menu and took, I mean, some of the old originals back, you know, onto the Rock Cafe menu. So we got rid of barbecue completely and brought on the menu that everybody knows now. In my time that I've been there, you know, the chicken fried's always been there. I was married whenever I bought the cafe to Christian Hare, my daughter's father, and his mother came over from Switzerland, and she unfortunately died this year, but she taught me how to make spatzel and Jaeger schnitzel and all the things German that I've done in years past. But the Jaeger schnitzel and the spatzel stayed on the menu. People love the spatzel. I know Shannon's out there on online. Wanting us to mention Shannon and Amber, both wanting us to mention the spatula. It came straight from Switzerland. So the buffalo burgers have been on the menu since I've been there, and it's the same. You know, local man's been farming buffalo for his family the whole time we've been there, and now we're his only customer. He used to sell to several, but we've sold so much. He just likes to sell to us.
That's good to know, because for me, I'm always a bit suspicious when people say a buffalo burger or an ostrich this, or I'm always wondering, okay, where is this really coming from? And so to hear you tell me that's actually coming from a farmer that you personally know speaks volumes.
Yeah. Well, Beverly, he's an oil guy too. He likes to grow it for only his family. He's raised his family on that buffalo meat, and so he'll sell it to niche grocery stores and niche restaurants. But we got so big that selling his buffalo meat that he only sells to us. But Beverly, she's our girl. What do you do to go get that buffalo, Bev?
Let's hear it.
Oh my goodness. I call him the day before. I text him the morning of, jump in my car, go 25 miles north, get there. Sometimes he's there. Sometimes he forgot me. Sometimes I don't know. And I've actually gone from here all the way up to Miami, Oklahoma, and picked it up from the butcher itself because he was on vacation. So that was a haul. But you know, the thing about the buffalo when they're cooking it, Rich, so you can kind of have your mind at ease. For the cook that's cooking it can tell the difference because it's so much different than hamburger meat when it's cooking. So it doesn't get confused in the kitchen. So if you order,
well, I was just always concerned because, like, a lot of the specialty stuff, you know, I'm always afraid that if people aren't buying it or eating it on a regular basis, that maybe it's sitting around or it comes from, you know, it's like, for instance, an example would be farm raised, you know, catfish or trout or anything like that, any fish.
Right.
Where is it raised? That's always a concern.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. I'm actually getting more hungry now.
Isn't that one of the things? I think we have a video for, is it the spatzel that we have a video for and how to make it?
Yeah, we can play a little bit of that. Yeah.
Well, here's the deal. We got a lot of videos that these two ladies did send us, and we are going to post them on the Facebook group page. You know, we always like to try to keep it around 16 or 66 minutes, and we have 16 minutes left. So all these videos will be on the Facebook group page. You guys can go through, watch them, see the different recipes of what these ladies do. So be sure to check that out, and I'll pop that up again if you're not with us on Facebook. There you go, right by Rich's head. Oh, Bev left us again.
There you go. That is the QR code for the Facebook group that we're talking about. 66 minutes. We're going to post all the links to Rock Cafe's videos and various things in that Facebook group where you can go and click on them and just watch to your heart's content there. But yeah, we'll put those in the group right after the show. So you'll be sure to want to get in there and click on those links and watch all the videos because they're really spectacular.
And Dawn, this is for you real fast. I got one more. Paul Welch, the Kappa Sigma Theta Psi chapter says hi.
Woohoo!
There we go. Woo, woo,
There you go.
woo, woo. So I see someone's asked the question of how many customers are locals compared to roadies. And roadies are tourists. Maybe it's the same thing. Maybe I wouldn't put them in there together, but
I think they meant tourists. Yeah.
Yeah. So during the wintertime, I'd say we're almost 90% locals. However, we would never survive on that alone. So our season is from March through October. And so we have a long season, thank gosh. And at that point, it becomes about 30% locals and 70% tourists. So we're heavily dependent on our tourist business and very thankful for them. We see people, we've had a wedding in there. We've had engagements in there. We've had, all kinds of wild things happening. Our tourists are just, and our locals too. We do love our town and our community. And we not only grow old with people, but we also, unfortunately, have seen many of our favorites pass away. So
the air at the beginning of it. That commercial, the air at the beginning of it, the Chickasaw commercial. We only have.
We're losing Beverly again. Come on, Beverly.
Was she going to say? Oh,
she's coming back.
Was she going to say that there's only so many people left? Oh,
there's only one left.
There's only one left. No video, but
you're hearing. Oh, there she is.
I just keep leaving.
But you keep coming back.
Brenda St. Clair, thanks for loving the cookbook.
That's fantastic.
And Nancy, on the pancakes, we have a great pancake story. So we used a Bisquick mix that we ordered from our Benny Keith supplier. Benny Keith, shout out to Benny Keith. We love our suppliers. I am one of those people that believe that small business cannot succeed without corporations. And so we try to marry that close together. But on the pancake mix, we used to order it and we ran out, and me and Beverly were terrified that we had run out of pancake mix. We weren't going to make it through the weekend. And we had a waitress, and she is Connie. Hi, Connie. Shout out. Hope you're still listening. She told us, all you got to do is mix, self-rising flour with a little bit of sugar and put eggs and milk in it, and that's pancake mix. So we've never had to buy pancake mix anymore. We use that to make the pancakes. We use the same mix we thin it out a little bit for your French toast, and then we thin it out even more to make crepes. So Nancy, thanks for recognizing our pancake.
This is some great secrets. And I tell you, the pancakes are awesome. I've had them too. They're fantastic. Okay, well, let's get into the tip of the day. We've got some pretty good amount of minutes left here. So my tip of the day, and this goes way back to the very beginning of Roamin Rich. When Facebook really became a thing, I wasn't big into Facebook, but then I started doing this Route 66 stuff, and I started to put out the pictures, and people started to really grab a hold of those pictures and inquire to more things, and they're really happy to see them. And I thought to myself, well, I wasn't really out there to do this promotion and stuff, but the real motivator behind me getting on Facebook was to extend some sort of legacy. So my tip of the day would be for all those viewers out there who are kind of hesitant about Facebook. You're going out and you're taking photos of things, or you're visiting places. I find it nice when I can post photos out there, and then Facebook puts up on memories, however many, on the anniversary of whatever, I was just looking through some this morning of pictures I took of my oldest daughter from like 6 or 7 years ago. And I thought, man, this is just so awesome. But even better is that for however long Roamin Rich or any of you decide to participate on Facebook, eventually those accounts, if you're gone, become legacy accounts, and people can tap into those to see who you were when you were posting on Facebook and what kind of things you were interested in, what kind of things you stood for. But with that tip, I would say there's a couple of things. I always try to be super positive and try to look on the bright side of things. I try to not get down to negative, not get into sensitive topics and things like that. I don't want to be known as a keyboard warrior 50 years from now. I want to be known as a positive influence in the world. So that's my tip of the day: is get out there, post pictures, post often, share your world with other people. And you never know 20, 30, 40 years from now who might see it and what kind of impact it'll make on them.
I do the same thing, Rich, for my Facebook page. I build it for the generations that come after me. And I have actually made my mother's account a legacy account. And so that's very wise.
It's a nice way to do as a journal. I got a lot of my kids' stuff and different things that I do. And I think people are always focused on likes. People want likes and comments, and really don't do it for that. Do it so that you can go back and look at it, because it's not about the likes. You like what you're putting out. Just do it so it's there. It's really easy to lose media sometimes these days too, where it's all gone. Facebook can't have a house fire.
Well, don't say that.
Yeah, I don't know. Things could happen, but
There's a room somewhere.
Well, then we ain't gonna have anything at that point.
Hopefully there'll be backups on the moon or something. But I don't know. When I grew up, I always wondered about some of my genealogy and the heritage of my family, and none of that really exists. And even as a child, my parents weren't really media savvy or anything. They didn't take a lot of pictures. We didn't have a video camera, so none of that exists of me as a kid. So I'm big into media, video, pictures and stuff with my family, so that their kids and their grandkids can have something to look back on. That's what it really all it amounts to be, is extending a legacy. So, Bev, are you back with us?
No, she's frozen.
Well, Bev
is all over the place.
Probably that cold weather we had come through this week. She's all frozen.
She commented with a laughing face and a heart. She's watching. She's watching herself frozen on the screen. Bev, what
else am I missing here, George? What's that?
I said I'm taking Bev off. If she figures it out, come back on. But
I hope she does. I know
she doesn't want to stare at her face just frozen.
Yeah, I'm sure she doesn't.
Is she running out of minutes, Dawn? Should you pay her more?
We might have. Yeah, we might need to check the phone bill. AT&T. I was at the AT&T experience yesterday in Dallas. It was quite an experience. AI is coming at us, guys.
Oh, that's a whole other topic.
Oh man, last night as I went to sleep last night, I thought, can I get AI robots, and how can I at the Rock Cafe, and can I make that seem like it's old school waitressing? That was my thought last night.
That would be cool. And
what was your final?
I don't know. You bounce that line all the time of, I remember, and I wish Beverly was here. Look at Beverly. She's saying no. You said no on Square too. Shout out to Square. I love Square too. We old school hand wrote everything, and waitressing like you do with the little green pad. You see the girls with the green pads everywhere, or the boys. And what we found out was that as we were, because we hire 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds all the time as first jobs. Guess what they can't do?
Add.
They cannot write.
They not in cursive.
No, they can't write at all. I mean, all their spelling is wrong. They're this, because everything's correcting us as we're typing along. So as it got worse and worse and worse, I kept telling Beverly, we've got to switch to like a POS system of some type. And she kept saying no. And finally I pulled the owner card, which I never pulled with her because I consider her, she's saying biscuit instead of brisket. So anyway, I spent 1 month. I rented a hotel room, or I rented a place in Santa Barbara, and I went to Santa Barbara and spent a whole month there building our POS system in Square. And boy, have I loved it ever since then. I think we've been on it since 2012, I think, or 14. Anyway, data. So, it changed the flow of everything for the cafe. So we kind of brought it into the future, but we still have a waitress come up to you, or a waiter come up to you, and they're typing along. So it gives you the feeling that you're placing your order, and they're writing it down, but they're actually using a POS system.
Right.
So, I mean, that's one example of how an AI robot may one day wait on you at the Rock Cafe.
Well, I hope it doesn't come down to that, but I understand. I get it. Even in my own line of work, I wonder how far away is AI from, making me obsolete. I think it's pretty far away. What do you think, George?
I hope AI is coming.
You hope it's coming?
I hope it's coming for what we do. Like, I'm not too opposed. I mean, you're going to still need some humans to run stuff and do maintenance on stuff, but I wouldn't mind a few AI workers here and there.
Yeah.
AI workers aren't going to complain about the cold or the heat or any of that stuff.
You can yell at them and they probably won't get hurt feelings.
Blow a couple gaskets.
I've been asked a couple of times about Owen Wilson. I did meet Owen Wilson. When I went to the premiere of the movie, John Lasseter pulled me aside. He sat me at a table for one, had 2 chairs, and he said he made everybody come over and meet me. Paul Newman, Owen Wilson, the Cheech and Chong guy, Bonnie Hunt. Everybody had to come spend 2 minutes with me. Owen Wilson was the most hilarious conversation that I had. Of course, it was Sally and Lightning McQueen. He sat down in front of me and he said, "So why does somebody like you stay at a place like the cafe and make the burger?" And I said, "Did you watch the show? Like, did you listen to what you had to say? Because if you did, I mean," I said, "you're being brought over to be introduced to a burger chef. Like, you had to come sit with me." And he said, "You've got a point. But I really love surfing." And his surfing comment was because he was making the movie Wedding
Crashers.
And in that movie, he has a lucky lightning bolt.
Really?
Yes. So you'll have to watch it. He talks about his lucky lightning bolt. He has a lucky lightning bolt sewn into his suit and everything. And that was directly taken from being Lightning McQueen.
You got George 5 over here just going, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So one last question. Jorge's asked it twice. Any chance the Rock Cafe would ever be put up for sale?
Well, yes. We are getting older. I mean, I want to make sure we've got 5 children between Beverly has 3 boys and I have a boy and a girl. And if any of our children ever wanted it, we would wholeheartedly love that and, be 100% behind that. But
Alexis, I know you're watching out there.
Know.
You should really consider it. I took over my father's business and I'm very happy with it.
Yeah. So we'll see. If one of our kids doesn't want it in the next decade, then definitely we'll be putting it up for sale and hopefully placing it into somebody's hands that will guard it as well as we have.
So that's good to know. I mean, yeah, it's part of the evolution of Route 66. People come, people go, places come, places go. And but it's always nice to see when a family can move through a business from generation to generation. People really love that. The Ariston up in Litchfield, Illinois, experienced that through 3 generations before they finally sold to an outside family. And that family's doing great with it today. I'd say that they're very loyal to the history of that business. Dawn, one of the things I didn't get to ask you guys today, but this will probably be one of the closing comments, but what's kind of one of your most favorite places on Route 66, or maybe not on 66, but not far removed from Route 66?
Oh yeah. Well, this is an easy one. It's always the same answer. I gave John Lasseter the same answer. Also why it made the movie. Havasupai Falls. You know, everyone know, or a lot of people may know or don't know that I'm a Chickasaw Indian, so I love the culture. And when John Lasser and I took a drive, he asked me my favorite place on Route 66. I took him to an old bridge in Stroud, Oklahoma. Clearly, he didn't have enough time to go to Havasupai with me. But Havasupai Falls is my favorite place on Route 66. It's a bit off, like you said. It's down at the bottom of a Grand Canyon. You got to walk 10 miles to get down there. But it's absolutely amazing. And that's why Sally Carrera drives in front of that waterfall.
We're going to show it again. George, let's show it full screen with just Dawn.
I've hiked that 3 times. My son wants me to remind you guys that he ran that canyon because I forgot my purse and we couldn't check into the hotel room, so I had to send him back up the canyon running to go retrieve my purse from the car and back down. Quite a feat. Everyone's gone there.
Too. He was a running star in high school, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he's just about to finish his senior year at Oklahoma City University.
Wow.
They're on a scholarship. Running.
Time flies. It certainly does. And speaking of time, we're at 66 minutes exactly. George, I guess unless I've forgotten something, I can go into the closing comments. Dawn, is there anything you want to say to the viewers out there, maybe on behalf of Beverly, since she got dropped out?
Well, we just love having you, and we're so glad and honored to have met you and have worked with you over all these years. And we really love doing what we do. And Jorge or George, however you say your name, Mendez, have Rock reach out.
You never know. Okay.
You never know.
All right. Thanks, Dawn, for being with us. Bev, I know you're out there still. Thanks for being with us. Alexis, I know you're still out there too. You should really, think about that Rock Cafe. Yeah, we've got a special episode next week, March 25th, this next upcoming weekend. It's going to be on a Saturday, not on a Sunday. So you'll be looking for the links and stuff coming up this week on Facebook and YouTube. And don't forget Twitch. Twitch is also another place that we stream to.
So Rich will be on his own.
I'll be on my own. Yeah, I won't have George helping me, so it'll probably be a complete disaster.
No, you'll be fine. I got a show that night. We're celebrating my father's birthday with my family. I got to do a live murder mystery. But yeah, we'll be back on Sundays right after that. So it'll be this Saturday, not this Sunday, but then we'll be back at our regular time, which is live on Sundays,
7 p.m.
Central.
So, all right. Thanks, ladies, for joining me. Thanks to the audience. The next show, like George just said, the next Saturday. Please follow, subscribe, share this video. It's what keeps us going. Donate whenever possible. This does cost a pretty good amount of money for us to put on, but I love Route 66 so much. It's just one of my little things I do as a goodwill to humanity. But having some donations here and there would be very helpful. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. If you want to watch old episodes, those are on YouTube as well. If you don't catch them live, just go to my YouTube channel, Hooked on Route 66, and then click on the live category. And you'll see all these videos archived, and you'll be able to watch them there. Another place that you can follow me, which most people don't know about, is Google Maps. And so the Google Maps thing, if you scan this little QR code that we pop up here, if you scan that QR code, you can follow me on Google Maps, and you'll kind of get to see my adventures as they unfold live, and reviews that I make, photos that I pop up on different places. You can kind of get to see an inside view of how I work in the real world. So let's show that video real quick, George. Yep, there's a kind of a quick glimpse of my Google Maps page. Just yesterday, I was at the Tree in the Road, Iowa, and I left a little review and some pictures stuff. So, all right. I appreciate you guys out there watching the video and sharing it and chiming in with chat. I'll do my best to get into the groups and comment on all the chats as soon as I possibly can. But I'm Roamin Rich. As always, go your own way. I'll see you guys down the road.